Hey, good morning, everybody. We're here getting ready to record the episode of the Conscious Living Show. So we'll give you a few minutes to check in, and then we'll go in live on Voice America platform. And Mark and I are got some fun topics for you today to address and see what you think about them. We're kind of looking to revise things, so we'll see how the next few weeks go. But we would love your opinions, and certainly if you know anybody that wants to sponsor our show, send them our way, because we do need that financial support to keep doing what we're doing. All right, so people are checking in. Good morning. Good morning.
They just like looking at you.
You think?
I think so.
It's because I dress scantily.
Yes, you do.
So I get to go.
I like looking at you.
It's very loose. See, we'll tip it down a little bit so that there we go. You can see a little bit more of us.
That's great, dear.
Is that great?
That's fine. That's good. That's better, actually.
All right. So, good morning. Oh, hello, Mark. See, Sammy says hi to you. So how's everybody doing? How's your week going? I always wish these Facebook Lives were audio too, so I could hear people, so we could talk, like on Zoom.
Yeah, there could be 1,000 people trying to talk back at you.
That'd be kind of exciting.
I think you like to get your own.
Cool.
You like to get your word in. You don't like to. You just like to tell it like it is.
Well, I do, but I like to have conversations a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a conversation.
Conversation where you say a lot and other people nod their heads or just acknowledge.
Well, I like to teach. Is that the same thing? Okay. It's okay. Okay. All right, thank you. So we're getting ready to go live. Well, good morning. You're listening to the Conscious Living Show, and Mark and I are here to chat with you about things going on in the world and some things going on in our head. We got some stuff in our heads.
Oh, we always do, dear.
Yeah.
I still like that intro that we have on Voice America, where it says that sex is a measure of how well your life's going. How well is your life going?
It's awesome. all is well.
Notice Nancy's big smile.
Yes. And no complaints, that's for sure.
But we do like to live our lives consciously and with awareness, and it implies kind of being careful with how you move through your days. So what's tickling your fancy here today, dear?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about how to become a human lie detector. I actually took a course on how to do that. You did you know that? Do you remember that?
Yeah, it made me nervous.
Yeah, it should. I'm a really good lie detector, except I still have this leftover mindset that of my upbringing about giving people the benefit of the doubt that I struggle with. And I think a lot of other people struggle with that too. They think that, that the benefit of the doubt means that you give everybody the benefit of the doubt, no matter whether they have any track record with you or not.
Well, I think also people say that phrase when they just want to give a person a second chance.
Right.
So it's a way of justifying in their own mind that they're going to give somebody a second chance. It's not pushed on them. It's just a way of saying, okay, I'm not going to feel guilty about giving a person a second chance. But so you're a pretty good lie detector. I'm not so good. Have you ever faked anything?
No.
Good to know.
Yeah, faking things, I think, especially in sex, I've recommended to women, if you fake things, what you're doing is you're teaching your partner that that's what you like. And if it isn't what you like, they're going to want to keep doing it because they think you like it. So make sure you communicate, honestly.
And so that echoes right back into every aspect of your life in terms of trying to be truthful, so that you don't have to worry about a human lie detector catching you.
Right. Right.
But more importantly, so that they really understand what you're hoping for, what's important to you, and what makes you work.
Well, and I'm having a great time being a human lie detector for the I don't know. I guess he's our president.
Yeah.
I have a hard time saying that. I really have a hard time saying that.
Dear, I like to turn things around.
What?
How can you tell
you like
when
to turn me around?
Well, but on the thought process is, I like to turn things around. So I like to turn it around and say, when is he telling the truth?
Well, yeah, that's harder.
How does your system work in terms of trying to figure out when he's telling the truth?
It does, yeah. Well, and that's really never. I mean, when he's speaking, I guess his truths are in his tweets, because he's completely unfiltered and he's alone in his little room and he's tweeting out to the world, and he's tweeting his true, honest feelings. And that's why he keeps getting busted with his racist, misogynist things he says, because he's right out there. But when he's speaking and you're getting to watch him speak, I noticed this after I did that human lie detector test, and then I watched, or that course, and then I watched him speak. It was fascinating, because you can tell exactly when he's reading what somebody else wrote for him, or when he's speaking from his truth, from his heart. And they are very different.
Well, the human lie detector concept, though, you have to be careful that it's not used against you, because people who are really good at these frauds,
right,
they understand psychology 10 times better than you do. So you always need to, when you're doing something that's important, you need to pause and consider. I always do that before sex with you, dear.
How's that go?
Well, I can't pause too long or it doesn't work out for me.
No pausing.
No, anytime you're doing something that's important, you have to take some time, do some research, and sometimes even just a pause will allow your feelings to kind of gel, and you'll understand what's truly important and what might be a reactionary type of response. You don't want to be reactionary.
And I think, the social media world has certainly given us a barrage of information daily that we don't know how to discern,
Yeah.
and so I get frustrated, because I get a lot of people just passing. They read something, they click share, pass it on, and they never pause to see if there was any validity to what they're sharing.
You like to look it up and see if it's outrageous claim, just like an outrageous deal.
Right.
You got caught on an outrageous deal.
I did, yeah.
Too good to be true. It was too good to be true. Always use your credit card, because you can reverse.
Yeah.
Reverse. This truth lie thing is difficult, and in your own personal relationship, it has no place. Otherwise, the person really won't know what you're interested in and how you feel.
Right.
Which is the most important thing to continue to try to understand. Invest 26 years and going, and I'm still trying to understand.
Well, 26 married, but we've been together for 33.
Yeah. And it's an adventure, and but again, this ongoing truth, it helps you understand exactly what your partner's thinking. It gets more difficult when you move out in other realms, especially in politics, where you don't know what the true agenda is. And I think that's exactly what happens with Trump. We don't, but it's getting so obscure now. It is getting more and more difficult to, does he have an agenda? Is it making any sense? So
yeah. So, we want to make sure that we're not propagating lies. So that if you hear something, do some research before you share it as a truth, because, it's like that old game of telephone. you say something, somebody else passes it along, and nobody pauses to really try to understand the basis of it. And social media is a hotbed of misinformation that really gets people going. And the world is stressful enough as it is. Life is stressful enough, and we just don't need to add that to other people's day, and really add strife and anxiety. I think that stress and anxiety are probably going through the roof with the media barrage of information that we get.
Right. I like to go to secondary sources that are a little bit more boring, but then they're a little bit more reliable in terms of fact checking. And you like the sites Snopes?
Snopes is fairly good. People have a lot of opinions about it, but everything I've looked up on Snopes, they really do. You can see their research. They show their research. They show the origin of things. They show the partials, the partial truths, the partial.
So it's a great site to visit and learn about.
And then you can learn a lot about it.
And if you're trying to do a deal with somebody that you don't really know, then there's Ripoff.
Ripoff.com.
Ripoff.com. Yes. Nancy posts on Ripoff every now and then. And if everyone did that, it would be a clear, give people a better advantage over these people who can use your own psychology against you.
Yeah. There's a lot of scammers out there, and being a human lie detector is tough when it comes to the scammers, because that's their full-time job. They're con artists. They're good at it. That's what they do. It's been successful for them, and so more and more people are being scammed.
No.
And everybody is embarrassed about that. When that happened to me, I was so embarrassed about that.
Now, physicians, we're really smart, so we never get scammed, or at least you don't think, or maybe you never even knew.
Yeah, yeah, you missed it. But ripoff.com is a great place to put in somebody's name. If somebody is trying to do a deal with you that you don't really know, they don't have a track record, you can't vet them easily, put their name in ripoff.com and put in all the names that you can find for them. And if somebody has reported them, it will pop up. It's a million. It's a very popular site. So ripoff.com.
Well, and do your research. Go there, and you do have to vet people you don't know. Giving them the benefit of the doubt is exactly what they're hoping for.
Right. And Dr. Phil has a great book. If you tend to be a gullible person and you're trusting, I should say, his book, Life Code, is a great resource, because it talks about these people that will bait you and how good they are at it, and how you can start to pick up on clues that's happening.
Now, Nancy has a game that she plays a little bit with these people, because once she's determined that they're not honest and that they're trying to just get some money from her, there's a dependency, and they're hoping for that money, and you actually can tell, especially if they're a little bit on the smaller scale, that they think that they've got that money, that it's on its way, it's there, and they depend on it.
Yeah.
And then when Nancy pulls the rug out like the magician, they're not still standing, they fall.
Yeah.
And then
that's kind of fun.
Then that creates a problem for them, because now they don't have the funds that they thought they've
usually pre-spent.
They've pre-spent. They have some other issues that they struggle with. So
yeah.
So awareness. These rip-offs are all over the internet.
If it's too good to be true, it is.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't know the person,
pay a fair price and get on with it.
No benefit of the doubt.
No.
Although you will give me the benefit of the doubt.
Well, and the reason that you could give somebody the benefit of the doubt, where that saying came from, was in villages where families and generations knew each other, and they knew the character of the family, they knew the character of the individuals. So when somebody acted out of character, they had a lot of history that they could go, oh, well, that's out of character.
Sometimes I make promises that I can't keep.
Maybe. Not too often. So, but when somebody's acting out of character and you know their character, then you can give them the benefit of the doubt. But you cannot give somebody the benefit of the doubt whom you have no track record with. You know nothing about their character. And Dr. Phil has a great saying, I'll use his name a couple times this show. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And if you do some deals with people that you love, trust, you have to go into those deals knowing that if it doesn't work out, that it wasn't the intention of the other person, and there has to be some forgiveness.
Right.
Otherwise, don't do the
don't
deal.
loan a family or friend money unless you can give it as a gift.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's really the bottom line. Otherwise, it'll ruin your relationship.
And sometimes that works out perfectly, even if they're not able to totally keep their end of the bargain because of circumstances.
Right.
Because family's family. You have to have your tribe a little bit. Somebody has to have your back in this world because it's getting pretty hectic and pretty complicated.
Well, we're going into our next segment. We're going to talk a little bit about the complication and how it could get a little hairy for families.
Yes, let's do that. Things. Yes.
So, and then how you can prepare for it, and how you can be more conscious. This show is about conscious living, and that means waking up to your life, your responsibility for your life, and also how you set forth to make your life happen on your own authentic terms. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Okay. So 90-second commercial. So how's everybody doing today? See, we have quite a few people popping in. There's Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. And David. How you doing? David Warner. Cool. And Clyde popped in. All right. Nicole's there. All right, cool. So we've got a few people at 9 a.m. I guess it's for most of these people are East Coast, so they're on their lunch break, having lunch with us. We're having coffee with you.
There you go.
Where's your coffee?
My coffee's over there. I'm going to go get it.
So who's coming to Jamaica with me in June or January or February? We got 2 couples events going on, one in January, the 18th through 25th. That's Kama Sutra week. And then we have February. Mark and I will be there for Valentine's week. And we're going to do a new concept called the Oasis Intensive. So it's 3 of the 7 days. So it's an intensive program about communication and setting boundaries and really getting to know your partner and creating a very safe place to communicate openly.
This is in February.
And then in June, I'll be back with Exotic Lifestyle Retreat for singles, for women and those who adore them. And it's all about learning how to be in relationship with each other, men and women, women and women, men and men, whatever, doesn't matter. That brings a healthy balance to your life and to learn how to love and respect each other.
And if I don't get fired between now and June, maybe I'll do a self-defense class.
Yeah, that would be cool. Okay. I dance.
Yep.
What? Dance with your phone. Welcome back. You're listening to the Conscious Living Show, and Mark and I are here talking about everything that we can think of to talk about that's important to us, and we imagine it's important to some of you too. So what are we talking about this next segment?
Well,
Ben?
I think when you're conscious, you try to anticipate things that might affect your environment, your family, your life. And one of the big issues that's talked about in the news is the coming recession. Mm-hmm. And so I guess the question would be, are you ready for a recession?
How do you get ready for a recession? And well, first of all, tell me a little, I hear these words, recession, depression, all these things. What exactly is happening in our economy that creates a recession?
Well, economically, growth is what propels us forward, improves our lifestyle, and a recession is a period of time when growth is interrupted and things start to untangle. And it's kind of a cascade of events, which is what scares the government so much. So right now we've had a tax stimulus. The economy continues to grow on average of about 2% a year. But all of a sudden now we've had an accelerated growth. And so now others are worried that that's going to be balanced out by a recession where growth slows. Basically, there's specific definitions, but people measure that people can measure. But basically, people have to stop spending money. They don't have additional money to spend. So if I can't spend money, then you can't earn money, and if you can't earn money, you can't spend money, and
shit rolls downhill.
So I'm looking at you, telling you that you can't spend money.
Uh-oh.
Nancy's very good at helping us not have a recession, but there are some good
wait
things.
a minute. Hold the horses here, because we would have nothing if it weren't for me.
Well,
Let me just say that. We would have nothing. We would live in a shoebox with one shoe.
No.
Not because we didn't have money, but because nobody would go shopping.
Hey, but
you would never go. You didn't even know you could use a credit card at the grocery store, for God's sake.
after the show's over, I'm going to take a picture of the one shoe basket that we have.
You're not.
But
no.
So things slow down, and then they cascade, and then it can get tough. And then there can be layoffs, and people find themselves financially stressed. So the first step in facing a recession is that during good times, try not to be financially stressed. So if you're financially stressed,
now
start working toward getting a little bit of extra slack, so that when the recession starts to come on, you can kind of ease into it. Gary
Vaynerchuk, if you haven't listened to any of his videos on Instagram, he has some really great motivational tactical ideas for people, especially the young generation, the new are they millennials? What are they now that are coming into their 20s?
Millennials. Mm-hmm.
To not get financially stressed, because he sees people in their 30s and 40s who've overextended themselves and now are chasing those bills, and they have no extra money to do anything fun or to feel protected.
And remember what money really is.
It's votes.
It's a vote to buy more shoes.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Nancy,
more shoes.
a while back, we remodeled our house, and Nancy now has a very, very nice looking, on the smaller side, closet that has one wall worth of shoes. And when Nancy started taking her shoes out, she was quite surprised that there was no more room on that wall.
It was. I like shoes.
So shoes. So if you have a shoe fetish,
well, I have a lot of foot fetish fans, yeah. So they like my shoes too.
Yes, I'm not adverse to them either. So. but to a certain degree, restraint's necessary, except in sex.
Planning,
that's important,
yes.
Both in life
both
and
in
sex.
Yeah. More sex for you and me. So yeah. You're gonna sing our song maybe at Christmas. Huh?
Yeah. But the point is that a recession's looming. So take some time to look at your circumstances and be conscious of where you stand. Be realistic with yourself. Yeah. Otherwise, ignoring it's going to come. I don't think that we really understand why recessions are necessary, and I try to look for the good side of a recession. And the only thing I can think of is it helps us prioritize. I mean, we go to the store and we do buy a lot of stuff that ends up in the junk yard very quickly. It's the little trinkets, plastic things. Most of it's from China, and it gives you a wow, and then it's gone, and then it's trash. We want to reprioritize a little bit and make sure that our money is being used for things that are truly worthwhile. And the millennials are figuring that out because they're having to downsize.
Tell me about FIRE.
Well, FIRE is financial independence, retire early. And I think this is a response to people that they're looking around and they're seeing what really is important to them is their time. And there's a large group of people who have figured out to have all of their time and not much money. And the homeless are part of that group. Of course, many of those people have other reasons for being homeless, but that's a subset of the homeless group. Mm-hmm. And so the millennials are going, whoa, do I want to buy into this old concept that you work 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire? Unless you're a government employee, then you only work 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have all these inequities, but people have choices, and that's going to really stir up the world. They're looking at it quite differently.
I think one of the financial mistakes that a lot of young couples make is that they get into these little bills. You know, they'll buy a set of pots and pans or furniture or something, the phones, the cars, but they're looking at the monthly payment,
right,
instead of the overall expense. And so then they get themselves into a situation where they're having to really push to make all of those little tiny monthly payments that add up to one big lump sum.
Well, the first thing you need is your emergency fund, which should be 3 months of your total bills, so that if something happens, you can continue to pay your bills for at least 3 months. And then what you really should do is hunker down at home and play games at home instead of going out to the movies.
What kind of games should you play at home, honey? What you thinking?
Well,
you like those mattress games.
Well, I was just going to say blindfolds.
Oh, blindfolds are good, yeah.
And if
pin something on something.
If it's real dark, you can just turn off the lights and save electricity too. See how that goes?
Go by feel. Save up. Yeah. Yep. And if it's cold, you just don't turn on the heater. Just get in bed.
Yeah, that's right.
Snuggle up and make some heat of your own.
That's it. Make plans.
That's probably why more babies are created when people have low money and no heat.
Well, and most recessions last about 18 months, so that's about right.
You could make two.
I love it, dear.
All right, so we've got about 4 minutes to talk about local politics. So what's happening in local politics that you want to talk about today?
I think it's just more important to become aware of local politics. And in Reading, one of the things that's happening to us is we had wildfires, and we've had a struggle with our local government about how many fire and policemen we can afford to have because of their retirement policies. Mm-hmm. And there's been resistance to give these government agencies more money because they're so generous with retirement versus the person who's working privately. So they figured out a way around that. They're going to now hire firemen through the utility company because we're all dependent on our utilities. And the reason for that is the utilities are now somewhat responsible for these wildfires. Electrical sparks can cause fires. And so, around and around we go. And I'm not saying that's not a great solution. I'm just saying that we need to be aware of our local politics. And then we have all kinds of other things going on locally. We have a large church group that's altering our community, and they're very powerful. So, they're using local politics. We have the Indian casinos that are also using local politics until they don't have to. See, they have federal levels, so they can listen and understand, and then finally just say, so what? And do what they want to do. So it's very important to be involved in your community.
Yeah.
You have to wake up and be conscious because it's happening right in, the old saying, happening right in your backyard. Anything happening in our backyard that I need to know about?
Yeah, a lot of nudity. Naked sunbathing. Here we
Yeah,
go.
Missed the
Right
gardener.
after the show, that's where we're going.
Missed the gardener by just a few minutes
Oh yeah,
yesterday.
that was fun. Well, and I think that getting involved in local politics helps you prepare for getting along in global politics, and you know, so we can see like what's happening at the federal level, what's happening at the state level, what's happening globally with this G force thing.
Well, a lot of things can occur locally. Many states, for example, have fought hard to preserve the right for women's health care, the right to choose,
Right.
Going against a federal government's edicts. And so I think we can start to have our communities reflect our views and our wishes and desires, and not always dependent on the federal government, which has the sledgehammer. You know, we want somebody that can fine tune a little bit. And then that way, if you don't like it, it's really terrible. Vote with your feet, vote with your dollars, move.
Yeah.
Move.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get ready for a break, but I think I learned something about the recession today. So thank you.
Yes.
And you know, again, it's all about being aware of what these things are, how they're going to affect us personally, and then how they're going to affect us in the long run, and how to prepare for those. And so we have a word of the day that we're going to come back with for the next segment. So stay tuned so that you can catch our word of the day and how that might influence your life. All right.
There you go, dear.
We'll be right back. Thank you. All right. So there's Brian. He likes feet. Hi, Brian.
I'm a little nervous about how you know that.
I've known Brian a long time. Brian's known my feet a long time. Oh, Brian.
All I know is you like to have them rubbed.
I do. Foot rubs, hand rubs.
If you want to know
I
why,
like hand jobs.
well, you want to know why Nancy's so flexible. It's not the yoga. It's she's sitting in the couch and
I
she
gotta take my leg all the way over.
put her foot all the way over into the other seat.
I didn't clean off the back thing. All the crap you put there. Thank you. So
good idea to point it out.
Yeah. See my crop? We're in the midst of getting our carpets cleaned this week, so we are completely upending the house, turning it upside down so that we can get all the carpets cleaned. So that's always fun. Now, that's why we don't have carpets in the other house. We don't ever have to worry about getting them cleaned.
That's right. Just a Swiffer away of being okay.
Yep. Brian says, yep. I appreciate you, Brian.
If you look closely, Brian, you'll notice that she has a tattoo on her inner left
He probably knows.
ankle.
There's my little feet right there, barefoot.
He probably knows about your tattoo. Huh?
Probably.
All right.
There are no secrets. Well, there's a few. What?
You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Yeah.
Is that what we're on?
Yeah. They didn't know where to put us. Welcome back. You're listening to the Conscious Living Show, and Dr. Mark and myself are here.
So there's a new term out there that I've just learned about.
Really?
Yes.
I think it's fairly new. So the word of the day is influencers. And what does that mean? And how do you become one? And what happens if you do? And then I'd like to talk about it a little bit more on a day-to-day level in our real lives, not just the internet lives, but the real lives. But the influencers are people that get a large following on Instagram, mostly Instagram, and or YouTube, where they whatever they're putting out there, which is generally something that's eye-catching. A lot of bikini models now are getting notoriety for being influencers, which is kind of hilarious because I'm not exactly sure what they're influencing. Part of what bothers me is that they're all enhanced. They all have fake breasts. They've all had major plastic surgery. They all have their lips look like assholes. I mean, I was looking at all these women and they do this pouty thing with their mouths that makes it look like a butthole. And I think, I wonder if there's a connection there, since it is at the other end. I mean, it's like, but they really are trying to make that look like that. So
trying new things. Well, when I hear the word influencers, I go warning, because I certainly want to be conscious about who I believe and talk, who I listen to. And just the fact that so many people are following somebody, it doesn't mean that they're correct. I mean, we have cults and they have large followings.
Right.
True. And I mean, we have religion. There's large followings. Yeah. They're influencers.
Right.
And yet we are social, so we do tend to fall into these groups. So you got to be careful. You got to know what group you're falling into.
Yeah, and what are people influencing? So influencers that have large numbers, because it's all about the number game, right? So they get these large numbers, and then companies send them products to promote and to influence you to buy. They're not choosing those products. Those are being sent to them. They're being paid to promote them. So just beware that when people say they're an influencer, find out what exactly they're trying to influence. One of my Instagrams does say influencer because I reached over 15,000 or over 10,000 followers on the one, and then they label you as an influencer. But my influencing is about living authentically, and about being truthful to yourself. And yeah, they're making tons of money on being influencers.
The other
I'm not making money on being an influencer.
The other influencers on the internet, of course, are the big companies. Google, they're not technically influencers, but you put in a search and a lot of people are searching their medical problems, and there's a new category of patients that come in to see me. And,
whatever.
And those are patients that come in to say, I need to prove that I don't have MS, or I need to prove that I don't have a brain tumor because I've researched it on the internet and I'm convinced I have a brain tumor, and I just want you to order the test. And so I want you to tell me how you feel. And they go, no, that's not really what I want. I just want the test.
Wow.
So,
oh my God, that's so scary.
Or I can give them my opinion. No, you don't have a brain tumor. They still want the test. So what's ironic there is that people are now being confronted, which is kind of an interesting concept. I think there's some value in it when I tell them that I'm not going to be able to get the test approved.
Right.
The insurance company is
not going to say,
I can't
Google said.
I can't write down the things that you need to have an approved scan, and then you'll be responsible for the cost. So, and they say, okay, I'm willing to pay for that. That's now worthwhile to me. And I
so
think
they'd rather pay for a test than pay for your 12 years of education and 30 years of practice. Insight.
Yes, I'm creating a lot of confidence in them.
Wow.
I think medicine is, there's so many people out there that that you don't talk to the people who've had their diagnosis done correctly. You only hear the people it's a math problem. Nobody knows what the denominator is, and numerator and denominator, and so they assume that we're making mistakes left and right. I mean, even the government says that we're killing hundreds of thousands of people every year with medical errors. And, if you believe that statistic, then you haven't listened to our show. That's just an alarming statistic to get everybody's attention. Now, that doesn't mean that mistakes aren't made. But people have lost their trust, so they want to direct their own care. I'm not sure how well that's going to go for them, but they certainly have the right to order some tests on their own. If it's not a harmful test, it's not invasive.
Yeah. But do you think that this is, I mean, you've had people come in for years saying, I looked at my symptoms. This is what I have. Give me some medicine for it. I mean, the self-diagnoses is happening all the time, but it's worse.
It's getting more aggressive. People are bypassing, sometimes they'll come in and say, I read about this on the internet. Now I want your opinion. And I'll say, you're okay, or no, we need to do the test. And they're comfortable with that. The new group is people who are saying, well, I'll pay for it anyway. For me to now not have anxiety, I need to have an answer to the test. So the Google and the way they design their searches and where they go and what people read are definitely influencers as well. And I think that's in the news all the time right now.
Interesting.
So be careful. Go to reliable sources. And it doesn't mean that I'm not interested in what you're learning, but the most important thing when you go to a doctor is to tell them exactly how you feel.
What you think.
Don't come in and say, I've got an appendix. You might have Crohn's disease. And then the doctor's not thinking about that. He's just thinking, well, I'll get you into a surgeon, because they're rushed. And then you want an opinion. You don't want an influence.
Yeah. So influencers can sway us in ways. It's just a new marketing tactic. And we understand that marketing is all psychology. And when we're marketing to people, we're trying to appeal to some part of you that feels insufficient or underserved, maybe a little angry. That's the whole point, is to get you to believe that what we have for you is better than what you have.
I mean, it's been going on in other ways. I mean,
sure, all marketing.
I don't know that I have to believe a famous actor or actress political beliefs. They're an actor,
right?
They
have opinions.
They have opinions. They're successful in acting. That's their area of expertise, not the new endeavor, but because they have a wide audience, they can influence, and it isn't always bad, but it just means that you have to be conscious of what they're saying, and how does it apply to you?
Well, we can see that, like with the Me Too movement, being a famous person had a huge impact on the Me Too movement actually getting global notoriety, because the woman that started it 12 years ago didn't have that kind of following. She wasn't a famous person, and she did all the groundwork for all those 12 years and never got momentum. One person says it on Instagram or on Twitter, and bam, it goes viral. And because she was famous. Right.
And
so influencers do influence.
To the degree that influencers have money and votes, they can do some good things with those monies. They start nonprofits that have that continue to do a lot of good for people for the ongoing.
Yeah. But so I would just say, when somebody claims to be an influencer, how do you look to see what it is that they're influencing, and with what of their own being are they influencing? Well, so we have a question that's come in. So how do you both boost each other's self-worth?
How do we boost each other's self-worth? I think it's probably mostly recognition. I mean, I think that I appreciate how Nancy's working daily to try to support the Me Too movement, and I give her big props for that. And I think that makes her feel like it's important to me, it's important to her, and that helps you with your own self-worth. I think we're very careful not to be critical too.
Yeah. And we don't try to boss each other. So, because I think when you're bossing your partner, you're trying to tell them what to do. You think you're doing it out of, oh, I know better for you. You should do this instead of that. When we should on each other, we don't should on each other too often. We try not to.
Right. So we're supportive of each other's ideas. So sometimes we will go into our oasis where Nancy will say, pause, and I really want to know your honest thoughts, not just a casual, no, that's great, Nance. Keep doing that. I think it's a good idea. But she wants something deeper, and she has to know that I'm being heartfelt. So we do use our oasis to make sure that we're on the same page. And that is a way to boost each other's self-worth. Knowing that you can get an honest answer from your partner is critical in knowing that.
And if you want to know more about the Oasis, contact me. I do private sessions for couples who want to know how to have that Oasis experience. And also, we're going to be doing that in Jamaica.
I think that the Oasis, and again, if I can be an influencer here as a physician, that should be your self-help thing that you offer to groups, is the Oasis. Yeah. I'm disappointed that the one that you did with Lisa Ling hasn't been broadcast yet, because I think that that was an amazing moment when 6 or 7 couples who volunteered didn't think that that was going to have the impact on their relationship that it did. And understanding that concept is as good as any self-motivation program that you can attend.
Yeah. So, we're out of time. What's good in the world? You. Thank you for being in my world.
See, we're boosting each other.
Yeah. All right. So remember, every day that you wake up, you get to decide whether you're an example or a warning. And please laugh more, love harder.
What's on our last segment?
Oh,
what's good?
We're
with
not
the world?
finishing the show. What's good in the world? You. We'll be right back. Oh my God. I'm such a dork. Thank you.
Thank you.
What the hell? I just completely got lost.
He's laughing too.
I am blushing. Oh my God. I am blushing. What the hell? Where are you going? you tried to reel me back in. Oh my God. I don't know what I was thinking, because he always says last, till finished or whatever.
Yeah, right there.
Oh my God. Such a dork.
Yeah.
I was so caught up. Maybe you should put
more. You need more coffee.
So Amazon influencers are everywhere. That ought to tell you where our priorities lie.
Mm-hmm.
So fun to see all these people popping in. And Andre popped in. I don't know if he's still there, but hi, Andre. And Forrest.
Well, that's a great question, how we boost each other's self-worth, though. I had to pause and ponder that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see you go on tour and teach the Oasis.
Me too.
I don't think there's anything else you do that's more important.
That's my why.
Mm-hmm.
That and the Me Too movement, women's empowerment.
Yep.
Those are my whys. Why I do what I do. Sure as shit in for money. If I was money motivated, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Thank you. Oh my God. Total brain fart. Welcome back.
Gosh, it's so good to be back so soon. A week can fly by in just a heartbeat.
Yep. That was the fastest week ever. We're back.
Well, that's what's good in the world, dear, is you're back again at it and working.
Yep. Yeah. I've been having some interesting shifts lately
Yeah.
around my work. So
Now that's one area where I try not to be too truthful about.
oh, why?
All the things you forget. All right.
Let's not talk about forgetting.
I'm just trying to make you laugh. Yes. I'm just glad it wasn't you. I made a mistake the other day that was just terrible. So if you have problems with your iPhone, make sure that the picture that you intend to send is for the people that you intend to send it to.
All right, I'm going to rat you out. So we were doing a picture for a person that sent me some samples to influence, right? And we were doing a picture and it was a little bit naughty. And Mark took it with his phone and he was going to send it to me. And so he ended up sending it to our entire family thread. Yeah, our entire family thread, which includes our daughter's new boyfriend.
Everything was covered, mostly.
So her comment was, well, welcome to the family.
Nothing too,
my crazy parents.
Nothing too private.
Oh
here.
My God. But he sent 3 pictures, 3 separate pictures.
Got it right 3 times in a row.
And then I hear from the other room this, oh no, you're going to kill me.
So whenever something goes a little sideways, what's good in the world is you do have alternatives. So I'm getting out my camera, which is not connected to my phone in any way, shape, or form.
I'm getting him a flip phone.
And I might be downgraded to a flip phone. And so that's good in the world, too, is that we still have flip phones for people who are a little bit challenged.
Mm-hmm. A little challenged.
Yeah. So, see, I threw myself under the bus there, too.
Oh, at least it's not under the bridge.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what else is good in the world?
Well, I'm still excited about these electric cars that are coming out.
Because, I know.
You know, we talk about CO2, and Greenland is melting.
Is it for sale?
Well, I don't know if it's for sale or not. I don't know if you want to buy it. I guess it's going to be farmland now before too long.
Well, that could be good.
But what's good in the world, these electric cars, if we can pull it off, can greatly improve your local environment. I mean, if LA, Sacramento were able to convert to electric cars, the pollution that would go down locally would be dramatic. I did talk to someone from the Netherlands the other day. They're moving to Reading to go to Bethel Church.
Oh.
And he said that Netherlands, 50% or better electric cars, no smog in the cities.
Wow.
Smog is gone.
Now the Netherlands that's a very cool country. I mean that's they have some interesting progressive ideas.
Well, we'll see how they do. They're basically underwater. Their dikes are up and they're not crazy about global warming. So they're looking for alternatives. And, I mean, they have reasons that they've embraced electric cars, but I'd like to embrace them consciously for the right reasons. And that is, local pollution is not healthy for your children. Let's clean up the air. We've worked a long time to clean up the water. We're struggling with that. Let's continue to improve our local environments. That's our contribution to the world. It's easy to justify. It's easy to understand. Something so, keeping the polar ice caps from melting is a great goal, but let's bring it back home. So
what did you say in terms of LA? How would more electric cars help Los Angeles?
Well, the electricity we're getting better and better in California. For 2 to 3 hours a day, all electricity now is renewable. It's all solar and wind, and so gas plants are contributing less. Coal plants are closing. Those are our most environmentally the coal is polluting the most. I can't think of the right word there, but so we're getting rid of coal plants. We're doing more solar and wind, and so electricity is becoming one of our cleaner ways of moving energy around. We need energy, unfortunately, and that's a whole nother goal, is to not need as much. And the millennials are starting to hunker down a little bit in that direction. But for now, electric cars, let's get rid of this local pollution.
So our brilliant conservationist Donald Trump just said yesterday that windmills aren't working.
Well, you know what? He got mad. He got mad at the auto companies. And this is why we don't need the government to tell us everything we need to do. He got mad. He relaxed the environmental standards for mileage and pollution in cars. And the auto company said, so what? They're not interested. They want to move ahead and they're being responsible.
Wow.
Volkswagen, Dieselgate, terrible thing, but they're trying now to act as a responsible company.
They want to be influencers in a positive way.
Yes, they see that doing the right thing sometimes will do the right thing for them. They'll get more support. It's self-serving to a certain degree. But I love it when companies start to realize that doing the right thing is the way to survive.
What did he hope to happen by relaxing those?
Well, he thought that cars then could be manufactured less expensive, and then that would be better for our economy. Cars would be cheaper.
His mind is still in 1950.
Well, I think, that's true if we need to have more people driving cars.
Right.
So we do look at our government for some broad guidance. And more car dependency, I don't think, is the right way to go. But let the people on a smaller scale locally decide what should be best.
Yeah.
Communities can design themselves so that they're less dependent on these things, and people are starting to want to do the right thing. That's what's good in the world, is that we don't need to be told what is the right thing. You
don't have to have some other entity tell you how to be a good person. You don't need religion to tell you that you have to be reminded by a religious teaching that you need to be a good person every day. You need to be kind and loving. You don't need your government to tell you that clean air and clean water are good for our people, for our survival.
Right.
I think we've become so dependent on somebody else telling us how to act, how to feel, how to think.
What's good in the world is that we are social beings, and we do come together to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And we have to trust that. And
just come to hedonism for a week, and you'll see that culture creates, and it's protective, and it's loving, and it's kind, and it's respectful. And there's maybe one or two people that act out, and they get schooled really quickly. So it's there is hope.
Well, it's an example of our world.
So, and I still say what's good in the world is you.
Right.
All right. So remember, again, to love more, laugh harder, and kiss longer.
I think I've heard that before.
3-second rule. Make this the best week. We'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for your patience.
Always enjoyed it. Yes. He's a bright spot.
Take care. All right.
He is a bright
Bye-bye.
spot.
All right. So we're done. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Linda. And the sound of windmills. They're wind turbines, but windmills cause cancer. He calls them windmills.
Oh, windmills. Yeah.
They're windmills. No, those are Dutch.
Well, what's interesting is that they're starting to develop those offshore now, which has to be studied. But I think varying things around so that the environmental impact of harvesting energy will be less concentrated. I think that's the right way to go. So there's some consciousness there. But I get excited about the electric cars. people are
Yes,
starting to
yes.
ask me questions about it. And,
Yeah.
the guys that asked me were two big truckers. They had the big old diesel trucks.
Ah.
And I said, cost me $10 to fill up my tank. How much does it cost you to drive around to work out? You know, if you're driving a truck to drive a truck and it's not a work truck, park it, get an electric car.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? You can sneak in and get an electric car instead of buying a new one. Do what I did. I bought a used Volkswagen e-Golf, $12,000, and I'm saving over $100 a month in gas.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you don't drive that much.
I don't drive
so
that
imagine
much.
if for people that drive a lot.
People in LA could be saving $400 a month in gas.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And solar cars. Yep.
Well, that's helpful too, but there's
Got to have a backup on that.
Well, there's some logistics,
Yeah.
the cars and the weight and moving them around. Now, again, talking about things that we could do immediately, and I've teased you about this.
I like it when you tease me.
Yes, but in an electric car, what you discover very quickly is wind resistance. The faster you go, the wind resistance is 4 times the speed that you're going. So if you double your speed, you 4 times the push back of the wind against your car. And that's what you're spending your energy for to go forward. So you can dramatically improve your gas mileage by slowing down. And so if we really were worried about pollution and fracking and pulling oil out, we would just slow down.
So Linda's saying that the DeLorean is powered by trash. What?
Was she talking about the one in the movies?
Back to the future we go.
Yeah, so slow down. It saves a tremendous amount of energy, saves you some money, saves your local area from pollution. And what's better than that? Do you really need to get there that quickly? It doesn't save that much time. It doesn't save that much time going fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll have this this video up, so if you want to watch later or share it with your friends, we are always looking for sponsors for our shows. And if people have products that are conscious, that you think that they need a little bit of a push and a little influencing, please have them send it our way, and we'll look at it.
Well, the sponsor thing is a problem. I mean, Nancy and I love kind of echoing our thoughts out to the world, but we're not very good salespersons.
Right.
So us approaching people to ask for money to sponsor us to continue to take time to do this is difficult. And yet that is the vote that we need to know that what we're doing is worthwhile. We don't want to be doing things that aren't worthwhile. So we need feedback. Are we, if we're doing something that's worthwhile, I'd love everybody on this channel to go to your YouTube channel and like it, so that you have more votes on your YouTube channel, because all of these things are noticed. All of these things are out of our own power, because these entities, YouTube wants to know who is worthwhile on their channel. So go to Nancy's channel and just like it,
Yeah,
so
just follow.
Just follow the channel. She could double her numbers, and then that would be noticed.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we can get. I'd rather have funding for what you do, Nance, to be a lot of small donations from people who are listening and who can guide us on content and what we're doing, than one big advertiser.
Right.
I mean, actually,
being dependent on one big advertiser.
Being dependent on an advertiser is okay, but then there's conflicts there,
Right.
And if they're paying a large part of your bill and then they disappear, then that's also creates a disturbance in the force. And so let's figure out how people can.
Well, there's that Patreon crowdfunding, which is kind of an interesting.
Do you have anything on your internet site for donations?
I do on my website. I'll have to look and see where that's.
We'll work on that this week, but we definitely need support for what we're doing, to know that it's worthwhile. Because if if things that are free, I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at stuff that's free, and you get what you pay for, is one of those old sayings.
It's worth every penny.
And it doesn't mean that you should pay a lot. I've actually had that thought. I thought, okay, there's some newspapers out there that I should subscribe to. I've been a long lifetime subscriber to Scientific American, and I don't read it as much anymore, but I still
support
the realities. It's not light enough in the bathroom, and my eyes won't read, and there are no reading glasses. I don't read it as much, but I still think it's worthwhile, and I still think it influences other people in a positive way. So that little bit of money, it's okay. I want my money to be the ultimate influencer.
Well, we say money is votes, and we do vote with our dollars.
Yeah.
If we believe something is worthwhile, we'll pay for it.
Shoes.
Shoes. All right. Well, let's let these people go.
All right.
Have a great day. Remember, love more, laugh harder, kiss longer, and 3-second rule for the kisses. You'll see what happens if you do that. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Be kind to each other.